What if Minecraft and Dawn of the Dead had horrendously thrown together baby? Can you imagine what that would look like? Well, it probably looks something like this. No! Surprised it exists? I'm not. Zombies seem to have been mashed up with everything on this flat earth since the beginning of man. Everything from completely segregation-free 1950s America to pets that greet your mailman as he walks by. Zombies seem to have crawled into just about every genre you can think of. But it wasn't until 2013 when we got to see something kind of different in the form of a base-building survival role-playing game known as State of Decay. A game where you managed a small group of survivors trying their hardest to find a home to call their own in a dreary and dangerous future. I had a blast with State of Decay, and it actually stood up there as one of my favorite games for a while. But just like everything else in life, including life itself, I got bored with it before long and moved on to newer and better things. But as of May 22nd, 2018, State of Decay is back, and it's ready to redeem itself for all of the years it's been gone from my life. This is my review of State of Decay 2. Oh, that rhymed. State of Decay 2 starts off with you choosing one of 3 sets of characters to start the game with. You've got meh, and all with different stats and relationship dynamics. After choosing a pair of future infected to start the game with, you find yourself in a survivor camp, looking for supplies, or answers, or people, or something. I'm not really sure what happens here if I'm being honest. Anyhow, blah blah blah, your friend gets bit and now you need a cure for the plague before they turn into a modern day mainstream music fan. Upon finding out that a cure won't be so simple to get, you promptly kill another survivor's husband while he's locked in a cage and head out to find a new home. You get 3 maps to choose from here, folks. Okay, there's this one, the other one, and then the one that looks like the first one. After arriving in the land of your choosing, you quickly settle down and begin your long-term goal of eradicating these vile growths that seem to be mutating the Walking Deads into the Walking Ketchup Heads. There's not much more to the story than that. It's pretty simple and serves as a means of setting up the player for future adventures rather than giving him a pre-built track to ride on. I wasn't expecting much of a story, as it was basically absent in the first game as well, so I'm not really disappointed with the end result. All in all though, if you're looking at this game for its story, I think you're gonna be disappointed. Alright, let's talk my favorite part of pretty much any game that's my favorite to talk about when I talk about a game that I talk about. Presentation. As far as the visuals go, there's a mix of good and bad. In the good corner! We have just overall how beautiful the game world looks, I guess. I know some critics are giving this game negative points for its graphics, but in all honesty, they aren't bad at all. Now keep in mind that this is a $30 non-AAA release, so it's not going to have cutting-edge graphics and the latest 10K tessellation 2.7.3 Ultra Giga Enhanced Graphics mode with DirectX 55 and subsurface surface sub-scattering.
Oh, but Hellblade looked amazing and it was the same price.
Yeah, but that was a rarity. A magical unicorn in the world of indie games. A linguine noodle in a sea of spaghetti. A genuinely nice guy with no malicious intent deep in the belly of Guidos and boys in a club dance floor. I'm getting off topic here. State of Decay may not look flawless, but it certainly has plenty of beauty caked into its horde-infested towns, and I think it deserves a bit of credit for it. Beyond its visuals, State of Decay 2 is also sporting a pretty damn good soundtrack. It's nothing amazing or memorable, but it's a soundtrack that works well in the game world and helps make any scene more intense with its mix of acoustic guitars, banjos, and percussion. As my roommate put it, it's so American, dude. When it comes to the bad stuff in the game, they can be a make it or break it deal for some people. For starters, the voice acting here could most certainly have been better.
Check this shit out. That Muerto's got no skin.
It's not the worst I've heard, but it surely lacked emotion or enough character for me to find it believable. It sounded like someone was reading their lines for the first time while standing in a recording booth, and I can't say that's something I'm into. I'm also not too into poor performance or glitches that prevent me from progressing the game. State of Decay 2 has a frame rate that can't figure out where it wants to sit. It's like the heart of someone with chronic anxiety trying to find a consistent rhythm. Sometimes you get a silky smooth 60 FPS and can enjoy looking at the far end of the map, taking in the world's beauty.
Other times though, for example when you're driving a vehicle, the game decides to drop down to sub 15 FPS. In this situation, it's basically hope for the best and expect the worst. Either you'll end up flying into an immovable object or you'll end up 50 feet down the road completely untouched.
The presentation here is alright. It's what you'd expect from a $30 title, especially now in 2018 where it's basically mandatory to release a game in an unfinished state. The gameplay in State of Decay 2 doesn't differ much from that of the first. There's a pretty basic loop of go out and scavenge for stuff, try not to be be overwhelmed by the ferocious undead, get said stuff back to your base for upgrading, and repeat. There really isn't much more to it than that. With that being said though, there's plenty more to do in the game provided you're imaginative enough to make your own adventures or stories with the tools State of Decay 2 provides you. For example, I found a cop car during my journey and ran around responding to emergency calls or breaking up groups of zombies congregating in the middle of the road, blocking traffic. Stop it! When out and about exploring any of the decently sized maps, the game controls decent enough. The driving can feel like you're on a road slathered in Vaseline or propulsion gel at times, and the shooting mechanics can feel a bit floaty or loose, but other than that, the game controlled without a hiccup. It could have used some more adjustments in my opinion, but it still got the job done and was by no means unplayable. Outside of exploration, you get to build up and manage your own little slice of heaven in violent, consumer-infested rural America. There's two main things involved in the upkeep of your stucco-coated fortress. First is making sure that your outpost has enough supplies. You'll have to go out and collect food for people to eat, medical supplies to heal the injured, plague samples to create cures for those who have been bitten, ammo for fighting off zombie swarms that threaten the base's livelihood, and gasoline to keep your more advanced buildings running, among other things. These supplies can be used up kind of quickly, and random events can cause materials to seem like they're vanishing left and right, but it never reached the point where I felt like I couldn't do anything about it. If I'm being honest, I think it would have been nice to see more drastic negatives occur. That way I'd have to stop and really think about my next move going forward. There's permadeath in this too. If one of your characters goes down and dies, he's done forever. Bye-bye. But the thing is you always have a chance to get back up, and none of my characters ever died on me. So once again, it's not as challenging as I would have liked it to be. Now the second thing involved in running your own 5-star resort in Zombieland is installing and upgrading new additions to your base. You can build up a garden or two to help with your dwindling food supply, or maybe a medical tent to heal the sick and craft cures for the infected. Later on, you can even build yourself a gym to get them sick gains, or even a weapons bench to create more powerful and reliable melee weapons. The base building doesn't go much deeper than that, but that's okay for me. I'm playing this to mainly kill stuff and take things that don't belong to me, and in that, the game does a great job. Now my biggest letdown as far as the gameplay is concerned, however, is the utterly disappointing co-op. The original State of Decay didn't include any cooperative multiplayer, which was something I think pretty much everyone wanted. I mean, who doesn't want to run around with their friends, building up outposts and vanquishing the undead? When it was announced State of Decay 2 would have multiplayer, my excitement for this game went up tremendously. In a not so lucky turn of events though, the multiplayer experience here ended up lacking. While still playable and a decent time, it definitely wasn't what I was hoping for. The game becomes even more of a laggy, glitchy mess when in co-op, and keeps you confined to a small bubble that you can't leave unless you're with other players. It made me feel limited in what I could go and do while in a server with my friends, and that was a major letdown considering this was one of the biggest changes I was looking forward to. In the end though, State of Decay 2 is a fun addition to Microsoft's lineup of exclusives. It isn't jaw-dropping amazingness that'll leave you in awe with its complex and in-depth gameplay or a fascinating detail-filled world, but it's a good-looking game with some decent mechanics, a $30 price tag, and a whole lot of undead for you to dismember in various ways. It can be a bit frustrating at times when the shooting mechanics don't respond well enough or the frame rate locks up on you, but if you can look past that and enjoy the game for what it is, I think you'll have a good time with it. Hopefully we'll see some more updates in the near future that'll make the game more playable, especially in co-op mode. With all of that being said, and with 20 plus hours in the game under my belt, I'm confident in giving State of Decay 2 a verdict of definitely worth full price. Anyhow, that was my 2 cents on State of Decay 2. I hope you enjoyed the review. If you did, be sure to hit them there sub and like buttons, as well as that notification ding dong so you never miss a review again. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.